All right, let's jump to this story. We got this from Timcast.com. Chinese surveillance balloon may have contained explosives designed to self-destruct. Anytime you down something like this, we have to make assumptions such as that, said Air Force General Glenn D. Van Herk. I wonder if that's the real reason they did not want to shoot it down. Because the debris is one thing, but if it had something in it really bad, I guess the concern is, what if it had a bomb? What if it had some kind of device, and shooting it down would, poison or a biological weapon?
You said it before the show, I think, John, the EMP, the best way to deliver it would be, or one of the best ways would be via balloon, because it's so high up, and then it's got just a wide berth of explosive.
Yeah, it goes higher than
fallout.
an airplane can go to shoot it down. Like if it's at 150,000 feet, you can't get a plane up that high, really. There was a whole, listen, you guys can go look it up, but there's an operation called Operation Hardtack in the 50s. And it was nuclear test, and it was also EMP tests. And the EMP tests they were running, they were detonating the EMPs from balloons at about 150,000 feet up. And the reason, because that is that's the most effective range for an EMP to really do its damage down on the ground. And you can go read the report. It's a few pages long, but it's very interesting. So when I saw that balloon floating across, I thought, I wonder if there's an EMP in that thing. How many more balloons are there floating around? We've always talked about, what if the grid went down? We all know, you guys talk about that a lot, but if you had no electricity in America for a year, you'd have 10% of the people left. That's not me saying it. That's all the military strategists that have ever looked at it. You'd have about 1 out of 10 Americans would survive something like that for a year. It's almost unsurvivable. So an EMP also, this is an interesting thing, that in Iran, and their war manifesto, like how they would carry out a war, they find an EMP to be Sharia compliant, because the EMP itself does not mass kill anybody. It's what the EMP causes that mass kills everybody, but the EMP itself does not cause a mass death. As a matter of fact, it causes no death because it's way up there. It's Sharia compliant. So people don't realize that EMPs are the go-to first strike weapon, put everybody in the dark. So when I saw that balloon, I wonder if there's an EMP in that thing. And maybe that's why they didn't shoot it down. I don't know.
They knew it was coming for, I think, a week or
But that's legit.
5 days.
It sounds dumb to people. Oh, that's so stupid. They're going to send a balloon up.
Well, you were saying it's because they don't have heat signatures, or they have very low heat signatures?
Yeah, they're analog, basically. I mean, there's not a lot to them, and they move so slow and so high. They're in between the satellites and airspace, and where the airplanes fly. So they're kind of in this zone where they're hard to get to them. Yeah. And, if you send a missile in with an EMP, you could see that coming. You would see it take off, and you go, oh, there's a missile, try to knock it down. This balloon just kind of floats in, and here's a balloon floating from Alaska to South Carolina. And
did it actually have self-destruct instructions aboard, like it was supposed to destroy itself afterwards? I
have no idea. I don't think anybody knows anything about any of it.
My first guess is that it was like their version of like Google Maps. They were tracking, they're trying to like map the North America, but they're so poor at communication with the United States, no one knew ahead of time. But then they blew it up. So either they're mapping like Google Maps and they didn't want to tell anyone because they're so secretive, or they were actually like tracking and mapping all of our sensitive data in purpose, and they came down on purpose. They said it was blown off course. I thought it was blown off course. That was the first thing I thought.
Wouldn't they have notified someone if it got blown off course? I mean, Blinken was supposed to go meet with the Chinese government, and now he's not going to because...
Oh, he's not?
Yeah, because they couldn't... the balloon being blown off course, especially if they were like, oh, it's just studying the weather. Like, why didn't you just say, hey, we lost our large analog balloon. Could you please let us know if you see it?
But it wasn't blown off course because it was stopping and hovering over nuclear silo installations and would sit there, and then it would start moving again.
And it was sending data, let's be realistic, in real time. Without a doubt, I'd be shocked if it was not just transmitting data, and the whole time they let it fly slowly across the United States and track that. What
if there was a biological weapon placed in the balloon? So we want the balloon shot down immediately. Why was it allowed? Blah, blah, blah. If they were... I think Montana would have been a great place to shoot it down. No offense to Montana, but a lot of big open space. And so they could quickly come in, quarantine, and isolate. Maybe their concern was then you're going to get into, the press is going to be there, you shoot it down, are you going to be able to contain the area in time when the debris comes down? They're already searching for explosives. And they waited until it was over water to take it out. Maybe that's what was their concern.
Well,
they didn't know what it had.
It was over water in Alaska.
Well, right.
It was over water in Alaska. There's nobody up
It
there.
went over all of Alaska, and they
So-
said nothing. And it wasn't until someone saw it.
Right. If you were if you were worried there was a biological weapon on it, I mean, the least populated areas over the water outside of Alaska.
And then through Canada? Came down through
And
Canada?
then it came down through British Columbia.
Well,
and, Alberta.
If it did have something on it that was extremely dangerous and would,
Sure.
taking it out in Canada would be the best option because then no Americans get hurt. I'm kidding.
Well, why
That's
didn't
rough.
Canada take it out? That's the real question.
Tom
then,
McDonald
right?
would not appreciate that comment.
Canada doesn't have the capabilities.
I know,
Shout out to
but
Canada.
still.
I love Canada, man. It's so sad to see them getting railroaded by the government with like the trucker convoys and stuff because they're the most cool people. They're like the most like, oh, I'll help you then, yeah? You're like anything like, my hair's on fire. Oh, get in the back of the car. But man, I'll take you for a ride then.
I've played every hockey rink in the whole nation of Canada. I've toured that country. I bet I've played 200, 300 shows in Canada. And you're right. The people, you go to little bitty towns like Lethbridge, Alberta, and little, Kamloops and those kind of places. Yeah, they're some of the greatest people in the world.
In America, we talk about how these big cities are very different from flyover states and everything like that. Like, it's even more so in Canada because the population is even smaller. I mean, my experience, because my family's Canadian, has always been, going there to spend time with them, and they just make fun of America. Everyone makes fun of Americans, but you want to be like, you guys are not unified at all.
So somebody's mentioning that Alex Jones pointed out, or Alex Jones is saying it's a test balloon, and the next one will have an EMP.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Or the next 60. What'll happen next time is you'll see 60 coming from different directions. Well, this is the worst case scenario. You see them all coming at once. It's like, you ever see that Fire in the Sky movie where they sent the aliens sent like one thing, and it was all this, oh no, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? They spent the whole movie trying to figure out how to stop it. They finally figured out, I think it's called Fire in the Sky. They finally get rid of it. And then like the next day you just see thousands of them coming, and it's like, oh. Dude, we couldn't even handle one freaking balloon. One.
What do you think Douglas MacArthur or General Patton would have done if an Italian or Nazi or Japanese balloon had floated across mainland U.S.?
You blow it up, you immediately get that guy on the phone, the head, and then you harangue them publicly.
Bad things would happen. Yeah.
Dude, what if, I was thinking last night or this morning, what if the government was taken over by a foreign entity? All of a sudden, the airwaves come up, and it's like, we are in control, everything's okay, it's the Chinese government's in control. Who would even do anything about it now? Like, I feel so fractured. Society is so fractured.
Wait.
If there was a government, if the American government was taken over by a foreign government, that people would just sit there. Yeah, like instead of all of a sudden Joe Biden's not the president, it's Xi Jinping, and he's like, we've got it under control.
Wow. Yeah, what if that happened?
And like,
that
who would
be
mobilize?
crazy.
I've got a feeling there are
I
secret.
can't even fathom
I
that.
cannot imagine.
I have.
That's the craziest thing I've
guy.
ever heard.
I have faith. I hope.
Fortunately, that will never happen.
It's impossible.
I mean,
Impossible.
this is
Yeah,
where I'd hope
look,
we'd have really
Hunter-
strong state governors, right?
Hunter Biden flew on Air Force Two to China not to negotiate any kind of subservience, but to tell them off, to say no. And that $5 million loan, forgivable loan, was them saying, please take this
Forgive
money
us.
and leave us. Yeah, forgive us. That's
It
what
freaks
was.
me out that Alex said that's a test balloon because I am not.
Isn't that what Jack said? when
That's
he
literally
said
what I said.
that? Yeah, that's what you guys all said.
I said it's a literal trial balloon. They're sending it through to see our response, and our response was an inability to handle it. I think the real fear was if it had explosives on it or something, and they shot out of the sky. What if there was a gravity bomb on it, like a 1 megaton bomb? And the trick was, if we shut it down, we nuke ourselves. So everyone's sitting here being like, Biden should have shut it down. Well, there's probably some things he could have done for sure, instead of just like being like, we're going to let it fly over the whole country. Because assuming it had a bomb, it could have been waiting till it's over its target. You know what I mean? So if you think there's a problem, your best bet, Montana. Sorry, Montana. I'm not trying to be a dick. I think you're an awesome state.
Or like Don said,
the better
Alaska.
place-
Or off the Aleutian Islands. I mean, out in the middle of the freezing water.
Did they detect it when it was in Alaska?
Yeah, they
did.
they saw it they've now confirmed they saw it coming across the Pacific.
They just didn't say anything.
They just didn't say anything.
Yeah. So what if they were letting stuff like this happen? What if Joe Biden was working at the behest of the Chinese Communist Party? What if, huh?
No one even said anything about it till civilians caught it.
That's right.
And then they had to admit that, yeah, it is. And then they did nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Maybe they were on standby and they're like, if it veers off course towards a major city, we'll take it out.
Maybe they've waited till they knew the whole world was looking like this all day long, just like that, to start sending in the balloons. Because we never look up. We're always looking down.
Dude, and now they know that if they do send something, the Americans are afraid of it. They got that in the bag. This is all art of war stuff. Like, they're just gauging what we did. And now next time, we'll have to be a little harder if we see another balloon. They don't know that ahead of time.
I think you're right. We're going to see multiple balloons.
If they see another balloon, dude, that's an act of war, in my opinion.
I agree.
That's not an accident.
I agree. I think this wasn't an accident. And there were two. One went over Latin America. But I think right before they go for Taiwan, that's why they did this. How will we respond? And so this is the analogy I said last week. Guy who's planning on robbing a liquor store knows having the gun in New York is illegal, but he doesn't care because he's already intending to do something substantially worse, which is use a gun to rob someone. China, when they're about to invade Taiwan, they know our reaction is going to be some kind of war response. So they don't care if we're mad about a balloon. Like, the balloon is inconsequential compared to how pissed off we're going to be when they move on Taiwan. Yeah. They know. So I'm willing to bet we will see some kind of sign like this right before Taiwan gets hit. And China's already been mobilizing warships and fighters, and Taiwan is on a high alert, mobilizing their Navy, their Air Force, their fighters, whatever they have. And then this happens, I'm like, oh boy, it's coming.
Well, and I think I think China also wins by showing the American people that we don't, it confirms for a lot of people why you shouldn't have confidence in the government, right? If you're someone who's already skeptical of the Biden administration or our military strength, and we just let a balloon float across the country for days, China wins because it now knows the American people are at war with its own government.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.